A neighbor of mine was getting ready to take his CPP when someone told him something you've probably heard before. Don't take it yet. Wait until 70. You'll get 42% more. It sounds like an easy decision, but when we actually put his numbers on paper, we found a much more important question. How much CPP would he give up while waiting for that bigger check? For some people, that gap can be more than $100,000, and that doesn't automatically mean taking CPP early is better. It means you need to see the trade-off before you decide. So today we're going to compare CPP at 60, 65, and 70 in plain English. We'll look at the simple break-even math, then 5 things that can completely change which option makes sense for you, because 42% more is only one side of the story. Let's put the other side on the table. I'm David. And before we get into the numbers, one quick note. I'm not a financial advisor, and this isn't personal financial advice. Your CPP decision depends on your contribution history, your health, your other income, your taxes, your household, and how long you expect your retirement to last. So think of this as a map. Then check your own numbers through My Service Canada account before you make a decision. Now here's the first number you need to know. For 2026, the maximum new CPP retirement pension at age 65 is $1,507.65 a month. But please don't assume that's what you're going to receive. The average CPP retirement pension for new beneficiaries at 65 is about $877 a month. That's a huge difference, and it's exactly why I don't want you making this decision from a headline that says, wait until 70 and get 42% more. Because 42% of what? Your number, not the maximum, not your neighbor's number. Yours. Now let's look at what actually happens when you change the starting age. CPP can begin as early as age 60. If you start before 65, your monthly pension is permanently reduced by 0.6% for every month you start early. At age 60, that's a maximum reduction of 36%. But if you wait beyond 65, the calculation goes the other direction. Your CPP increases by 0.7% for every month you delay, up to a maximum increase of 42% at age 70. So, just to make the math easy, let's use the 2026 maximum at 65, about $1,508 a month. At 60, roughly $965 a month after the 36% reduction, and at 70, roughly $2,141 a month after the 42% increase. Those age 70 numbers look pretty good, and that's exactly why people say, just wait. But here's the question those numbers don't answer. What happens to the 5 years between 65 and 70? Let's say 2 people have the exact same maximum CPP entitlement. Person A starts CPP at 65, person B waits until 70, person B gets the larger monthly payment, but person A has already been collecting CPP for 5 years. At roughly $1,508 a month, 5 years of payments comes to about $90,500. That's almost $100,000 received before person B gets the first CPP check. Now, person B starts at roughly $2,141 a month. That's about $633 more every month than person A. So how long would it take for that extra $633 to make up the roughly $90,500 person B gave up by waiting? About 143 months, almost 12 years. That puts this very simple break-even calculation around age 82. And I want to slow down here because this is where people can misunderstand the whole video. Age 82 is not a magic CPP age. It does not mean everyone should take CPP at 65, and it does not mean everyone who waits until 70 is making a mistake. This is only a simplified illustration using the maximum CPP amount. Your actual number could be much lower. Taxes matter. Your investment choices matter. Your CPP contributions matter. and your life expectancy matters. But the calculation reveals something incredibly important. When you wait for a larger monthly CPP payment, you're giving up payments today in exchange for a bigger payment later. That's the trade. And now we get to the part that matters more than any YouTube rule, your situation. Because two Canadians can look at exactly the same CPP rules and make completely different decisions, and both can be making perfectly reasonable choices. So let's go through 5 questions. Question 1, do you need the money now? Suppose you're 62, you've reduced your work hours, maybe you're paying rent, maybe you're helping a family member, maybe you simply don't have enough income coming in every month. In that situation, a bigger CPP check at 70 doesn't solve the problem you're having at 62. Starting CPP earlier can provide income when you actually need it. But there's another side. If you wait, what are you using instead? Are you taking money from your RRSP, drawing down investments, using savings you've spent decades building? That matters. The real question isn't just, can I wait until 70? It's, what does waiting cost me between now and then? Question 2, how is your health? This is probably the least comfortable part of the conversation, but it matters. If you're in good health, have a long family history, and expect to live well into your 80s or beyond, a larger lifetime monthly payment later may become more valuable. If your health is poor or you have serious concerns about longevity, waiting through a long break-even period may look very different. There's no shame in considering this. You're not trying to predict the exact date you'll die. You're simply asking, what kind of retirement am I realistically planning for? Canada's own CPP guidance tells people to consider their health, financial situation, and retirement plans when deciding when to start. Question 3, what else are you receiving? This is where CPP timing gets more complicated. CPP isn't your entire retirement income. You may have OAS. You may qualify for GIS. You may have a workplace pension. You may have RRSP or RRIF income. You may have investment income. And these pieces don't necessarily operate independently. GIS, for example, is income tested. So if GIS is an important part of your retirement plan, don't make your CPP decision by looking at the CPP check alone. Look at the household income picture. This is one situation where getting the numbers checked before applying can save you from making a decision based on half the picture. Question 4, are you still working? This one gets misunderstood all the time. Working while receiving CPP does not reduce your CPP retirement pension simply because you're working. And if you're working while receiving CPP and continuing to contribute, you may qualify for a post-retirement benefit, an additional lifetime benefit. If you're between 65 and 70, you can generally elect to stop making CPP contributions while continuing to work. But there are rules around when that election takes effect, and the details can differ for people working in Quebec. So don't assume that a YouTube video about working while collecting CPP covers your exact situation. The bigger point is this. If you're still earning a good income, you may not need CPP immediately, and that changes the conversation. Question 5. What does your CPP estimate say? This may be the most important question of all. Forget the $1,507 maximum for a moment. Forget the $877 average. Open my Service Canada account. Look at your actual CPP estimate. Now you have something useful. If your estimated CPP at 65 is $850, then your 42% increase at 70 is being calculated from your own entitlement. If your estimate is $1,200, the numbers are different again. And if you've had years with lower earnings or gaps in your contribution history, your CPP may be nowhere near the maximum. That's why I want you to stop thinking about 60 versus 70 and start thinking about my CPP at 60 versus my CPP at 65 versus my CPP at 70. Those are your numbers. And once you have them, you can actually start making a decision. So let's make this simple. Imagine 3 doors. Door 1, starting earlier. You may lean towards starting CPP earlier if you genuinely need the income. Maybe you want to reduce your work hours. Maybe you're trying to avoid drawing down your savings too quickly. Maybe your health or circumstances make waiting less attractive. The benefit is straightforward. You get the money sooner. The trade-off is also straightforward. Your monthly payment is permanently smaller. Door 2. Starting around 65. For some people, 65 is simply the middle ground. You're not taking the maximum reduction from starting at 60, and you're not giving up 5 years of CPP payments to reach the maximum delayed amount at 70. If you can comfortably reach 65 without financial strain, it may be a reasonable point to evaluate. But again, don't treat 65 as a magic answer either. Dr. 3. Waiting towards 70. This may be worth considering if you don't need CPP right now, have other reliable income, are in good health, and are planning for a long retirement. The benefit is a larger monthly CPP payment for the rest of your life. But remember what you're trading. You're giving up years of payments in exchange for that larger amount later. That's the decision. Not, is 70 better? It's, is the larger payment later worth giving up the payments I'd receive now? And if you're married or living common law, there's one more layer. Don't make the decision completely on your own. Your ages may be different. Your CPP amounts may be different. One of you may have a workplace pension. And survivor benefits can matter too. Sometimes the best decision for one spouse isn't the best decision for the household. So look at the household picture. Now, here's what I want you to do before you make the decision. 4 things. First, log into My Service Canada account and find your CPP estimates. Look at 60, 65, and 70. Second, write down your other retirement income, workplace pension, OAS, possible GIS, RRSP, or RRIF withdrawals, TFSA savings, part-time work, anything else that matters. Third, identify your biggest constraint. Is it cash flow, health, taxes, GIS? Or do you simply want the largest possible guaranteed monthly CPP payment later? And fourth, if your situation involves GIS, substantial other income, complicated taxes, or a spouse with a different retirement picture, get the numbers checked before you apply. There's one important detail here that people sometimes miss. CPP isn't something you should think of as completely irreversible the moment the first payment arrives. Canada says you can cancel your CPP retirement pension within 12 months of starting it, but you have to request the cancellation in writing and repay all CPP income you've received. That's not a reason to start CPP casually. It's just another reason to understand the rules before you apply. And now we can come back to the original question. Should you take CPP at 60, 65, or 70? There's no universal answer. The real mistake is taking a slogan like, wait until 70. You get 42% more, and treating that as a retirement plan. Yes, waiting until 70 can give you a substantially larger monthly payment, but waiting also means giving up years of CPP payments. And if you're considering 60, 65, or 70, you need to know both sides of that trade. The bigger check, and the payments you gave up to get it. Most importantly, use your number, not the maximum, not the average, not somebody else's retirement. Yours. That's where the decision becomes real. I'm David. If this helped you understand CPP timing without all the government jargon, subscribe. I cover CPP, OAS, GIS, and Canadian retirement rules in plain English, so you can understand what the numbers actually mean before you make a decision. And if you're currently deciding between 60, 65, and 70, tell me in the comments, which age are you leaning toward and what's making the decision difficult? Take care of yourself. I'll see you in the next one.